everyone, it's Bella, and today I'd like to talk to you about the new moon in Libra at 2 degrees on September 25th, 2022. Now, with the sun currently in Libra, we are more aware of our roles in relationships and how we operate in them. Are they balanced? What is working and what is not? What is expected of us? Is the give and take in harmony? Are you as good for them as they are to you? Are you going to say something? Or are you going to avoid it and try to keep the peace with silence that causes later explosions and resentments? Or are you going to tackle it head on before it becomes a monster? The general Libran energy does not like head-on confrontation and tends to avoid that in order to not hurt someone else. Libra can be considered indecisive because of overweighing options and always thinking of others as well, and almost valuing others' opinions over their own. And therefore there can be times when Librans do not know when to draw the line or when to actually realize that they could be manipulated or that they could be used in some way. Now, with Venus, the ruler of this new moon, and the north node of destiny now invisible until December, and both her and Mercury in Virgo right now, with Mercury retrograde and most planets retrograde, we are going inwards toward the details of what is and is not working. We are looking for solutions and new ways of relating and doing relationships. Everything that is out of balance is becoming very evident at this time. Now, with a new moon, there is usually always a new burst of energy or a spark in some way. It's time for a new beginning or new intentions in the area of Libra in your chart. In general, new intentions for close relationships, business partnerships, friends, and all areas of sharing where other people have to be considered in some way. This can also affect topics of the law, fairness, finances, love, self-worth, comfort, food, pleasure, weighing of things or choices, peace or war, negotiations, trade, compromise, as well as decisions. Libra likes things to look good, but with Venus in Virgo, she wants not just the outside to look good, she wants all of it to actually work and be looking good and be working in order, properly, in a pure way. Purity and trust and loyalty is very important now. As long as there is balance and realistic understandings that nothing and no one is perfect. What can we do practically and realistically to mend what is broken? That said, except when there's no longer the possibility of peace. When is enough enough? And how are you teaching others to treat you? What are you tolerating? The new moon is a good time to have gatherings and meetings, to understand the other side of something or someone, to go for counseling, to get advice, to brainstorm and research on ideas with others, as you will also be more attuned to others' feelings. It's great for getting another opinion if you have to get some kind of conclusion in an area. The new moon is also conjunct Mercury retrograde and can have us more easily desiring to converse about how we feel. It may be better to do research and investigate things that need permanent changes. Any huge decisions should rather be initiated around middle October and not while Mercury is retrograde, as you could change your mind or something could change which could affect your decision or your pros and cons list. It is a time to cross the T's and improve something now, make it more efficient. Your mind is more attuned to the little things. Just be careful of being nitpicky and small-minded, or the other extreme of exaggeration and generalizations. Past mistakes can come up for correction, also past wrongs that may come up for discussion now, repetition of certain things, especially in relationships. Deception and truth are on the table as well. Past lovers, partners, friends could return to you in some way, whether it's in real life or via text or just thoughts. Remember, they are in the past for a reason, but people can change. It could be useful as part of the inner deep dive, so to speak, to see how you have grown and changed, how you can do relationships better now or different. What can you take from past relationships and learn and grow with that and change things for the better going forward? What do you value now? What are you done with? How do you want to begin again? But stay cautious if you are reconsidering returning to someone. Give it time until Mercury is at least out of shadow and direct. And meanwhile, observe. We could be experiencing communication overload with these energies. Just make sure you are speaking as well as listening in conversations, and listening to understand, not to immediately respond or defend, but to really hear what the other has to say. As the Arab proverb goes, the mouth should have 3 gatekeepers. Is it true? Is it kind? And is it necessary? But regardless, you may be much more aware of the main drive and underlying purpose of everything and everyone you engage with. Important conversations are due now, or possibly with important people in your life. This lunation is also conjunct Venus and puts our attention on those we love or those we secretly would like to love. This is great for socializing, self-expression, creativity, and all forms of art. It can be great for a party. People are more into connecting with each other at this time. It's great for new relationships as well as bettering communication between them. Of course, do not get married under Mercury retrograde if you can help it. Mercury is also conjunct Venus and stimulates interest in peace, harmony, the arts, relationships, romantic connections and conversations, relationship topics in general, romantic trips, and also purchasing things and financial decisions. It's great for telling someone how you really feel if you love them, or just how you really feel, the truth about something. It's more mental than emotional. But for some, it may be a stifling of using the voice due to Venus being invisible. So some might be conversing in their minds until other activations in order to release what is actually needed to be said at this time. The energy can be great for improving a creative project that you're willing to work on and tweak in the next few months. It's also great for writing a poem or a love letter or a song. You would be able to pour your heart and soul into your art at this time. But since Mercury is retrograde and in Virgo again, this is the time to notice the little things that can be reworked or improved that ultimately make a big difference. At least now you will be sure what you are looking for when the time is right. This is great for finding what's under the rug in general. This new moon is also opposing Jupiter in Aries, and this aspect can have us going to extremes of excess, whether spending or eating or just being wasteful in general, or the opposite of that. Positively, it can bring optimism and courage, especially if you need to tell someone you love them or tell them something quite difficult to say. Try not to be a know-it-all in conversations and just let them be. Otherwise, conflicts can occur. Watch conversations with those in authority. We could see people doing things they would not normally do. Some may even challenge authority whilst standing up for their rights. And there will be those that know it is their purpose in doing so. Just be aware of the consequences and stay open-minded. Something is coming to a head with this energy, and better to let it unfold without destruction. Do not overdo or make promises you cannot keep. Your eyes can be bigger than your stomach with this energy. It wants freedom, it wants rights and freedoms, especially in relationships as well. The changes now has to be aligned with what is best for you in order for you to choose it or them. Now, the Sun, the Moon, and Mercury retrograde and Venus are all trining Pluto during this lunation. And this can make optimistic transformations toward how you want to live your life and will bring the changes you need to make to your attention. You will most likely be much more ready to receive this realization now, as the timing was not necessarily appropriate before. This is a powerful energy, so be aware of your words and actions as they can have intense effects on other people at this time. But ultimately, this allows for emotional intimacy. It's great for healing in relationships, psychological insights, and getting over the superficial and into the deep love connections. This is passionate, and everything in and about your life has to be passionate now. You are highly activated and sensitive to what aligns with your soul, with your purpose, and what is not. Now, Venus and Mercury is also still in the opposition to Neptune. This is still strong. Therefore, be aware of deception in love and partnerships as well as business transactions. Don't fall for illusions and do not be deceived. Do not be manipulated by feelings of guilt and obligation. When you do realize the scales are actually balanced, watch for too much information and being confused by it. Take the time with Mercury retrograde to properly research and go over your information before making life-changing decisions. Misunderstandings can happen, as with also Mercury retrograde, but especially also with the Neptune opposition. Mars is trining Saturn at this time, and this is also great for controlled action, hard work, things that take a lot of patience and concentration, that has delayed gratification. And Saturn is making its square to Uranus, which is again activating the same energy that we've also had now for the last year. It's a break-free energy. It's a rebellious energy. Where are you standing in your own way? And this energy has been with us for a while now. And supply lines are also strongly affected by this now, as Uranus also has a lot to do with these trains that are striking as well. At the end of the day, this moon is about you applying yourself to life, to this immediate present moment, getting to know yourself and those around you, and the circumstances in your life are all but there to shape you and have you look inward. Now, the negative possibilities with this new moon is brand new beginnings. Unless you have pre-planned it before Mercury stationed retrograde, you don't want to start anything, launch anything brand new at this time, even though it is a new moon. It can bring obsessive thoughts. It's not great for putting all your money on something or someone brand new just yet. It's not good for permanent changes and decisions that are not changeable. It's important to watch arrogance or thinking you're always right, vanity, overspending, overeating, wasting. Indirect communication can lead to arguments, mistakes, gossip, accidents, repeating things, having to redo things, arguments. Manipulation and deception can be rife. Arguments and words can get harsh. Buyer's remorse in every way you could think, even with humans. We could feel overwhelmed with information and choices, disappointments, having to go back and fix something, reality checks, truth bombs that shock to the core, a delay, something that takes longer, delayed gratification, a no, tricksters, lies, theft, charlatans, and pretty much being taken advantage of, overdosing on drugs or alcohol. This lunation reaches over the whole month and is good for expressing yourself. It's good for things like home decorating or looking for a new home, not purchasing it yet. Socializing at home, gardening cleanup, harvesting and canning and socializing, getting or giving advice, crossing the T's and improving something or working on something. Multitasking, learning and memorizing. It's great for investigations and research, expressing how you feel, telling someone the truth, being willing to stand up for yourself if you realize you're giving too much. Setting boundaries, having those difficult discussions whilst being aware of miscommunication possibilities, whilst being aware of others' feelings. It's great for diplomacy. It's great for making sure you are not, or I should say, it's great for practicing diplomacy, as you might find it a bit more challenging at this time. It's great for making sure you're not being manipulated or used financially or in love. Magnetic attractions are now possible as well, but practice caution. Online attractions, make sure you're not being fooled. It's great for scientific research. It's great for labor and hard work, working with metals, iron, stones. It's great for persevering and for detailed work, for a math mind, for learning and memorizing and studying. Just make sure you study the proper material, especially with Mercury in opposition to Neptune. It's great for finding out more of what you really desire, looking inside yourself. This moon is all about balancing those scales and learning to say no or when to tell someone to take a hike in a way that they will like it, as only Venus can do. With Venus also in the underworld and a strong Libra presence, we can know what we want to say and still not use our voice to spare others' feelings, especially with Venus now in Virgo, the sign of service, humbleness, and literally bending over for others. We are more aware now of how our dedication and devotion to those around us are being received and reciprocated. Of course, we cannot expect the same from others. Therefore, careful investigation and understanding, and sometimes help and discussion with a counselor can be of assistance. But the important thing is the awareness. Once we're aware of it, we can start to deal with it toward realignment and rebalancing. Collectively, we could expect possibilities regarding government speeches and new announcements, new laws, court case news, decisions or overturns of certain decisions, trade, infrastructure, media, travel, deep investigations of truth, charlatans, supply line blockages, and all things connected to ammunition, mail, traffic, vehicles, etc. can be affected now with Mars in Gemini and Mercury, the ruler, in retrograde. So be more mindful of where you focus your mind, your words, gossip, accidents, and driving. Sensitive organs during this time are the urinary bladder, the ureter, the veins, the kidneys, the pancreas, insulin. It's also not recommended to have surgery during a new moon, but this is not medical advice, so please consult your physician. I would also like to read to you the Sabian symbol with Dane Rudger for the 2nd degree of Libra for this new moon. The transmutation of the fruits of past experiences into the seed realizations of the forever creative spirit. The keynote is a repolarization of inner energies leading to a creative centralization of consciousness. The original formulation of this symbol was both occult and, I believe, confusing. The light of the 6th race transmuted to the 7th. It could be interpreted in terms of the process of mankind's development through the 7 great races or evolutionary periods, outlined in the 2nd volume of H.P. Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine. But there are no other symbols in the series having such a frame of reference. What seems more likely to be implied in the revealed image is a reference to the numerological and occult meaning of number 6 and number 7, especially geometrically expressed in the diagram on page 32, in which 7 circles contiguous and of the same size fill a larger circle whose diameter is 3 times that of the smaller one. The 6 circles touching the circumference of the larger one represent the 6 basic approaches to truth and reality possible to man's developing intelligence. Thus, the well-known 6 schools of Hindu philosophy, and at the level of energy, the 6 fundamental colors or rays. But central to this 6-fold system is the hidden or occult 7th, the Atma Vidya of Hinduism, the unformulatable truth of the self, which both includes and transcends the 6 approaches, schools, or rays. Number 6, also Solomon's seal, represents the synthesis of descending spirit and ascending matter. It represents the fruition of all past efforts. Within the 6th-fold fruition, the seed may be found, the 7th. Outer activity is fulfilled. The 6 days of creation in the 1st chapter of Genesis, and the supreme actor can be seen in his changelessness and therefore his transcending all inclusiveness. All that was manifested in the plant is gathered in the hidden seed, which in due time becomes the foundation of a new cycle of existence. The fruit decays. For a brief moment, the released seed may be seen. This is the 7th period that becomes the creative power fathering a new cycle. This symbol for Libra at 2 degrees refers to the process of centralization in the self, the creative reality, after the experience of fulfillment in the perfect form of manifestation. Formal perfection is now transcended through a process of creative centralization. I'd also like to read to you the 2nd degree of Libra with the inside degrees of Elias Longdale. An apprentice medicine man allowing himself to be bitten by a snake. Existence itself initiates those who are given over to its rigors and its lessons. But being so exposed to the evolutionary edge is exceedingly challenging. Transformation is a constant at all levels. Everything is becoming something else, metamorphosing before your eyes, propelled into the most extreme states imaginable. You feel the greatest anguish and loss, the most huge elation and bursts of freedom. Finger on the pulse of collective cycles, right on the cutting edge. You are committed to planetary changes, personally and pervasively. You absolutely feel the impact of what is going on and what needs to go on, virtually spun out to infinity by what it all means. Drawn toward the basic and the simple for breath, destiny obsessed, rapidly thrown into the midst. You come out the other side either lost and confused and staggered or ready for anything, courageous, visionary, and an incredible generator of shared possibilities, unlimited. Now, the ruler of this new moon, Venus, who just became invisible around the 15th in the sign of Virgo, the ruler of also the North Node in Taurus, entering the underworld in its fall until the end of the calendar year, approximately, whilst also beginning a new Venus star point in Libra. Venus now, the degree meaning, interestingly, connecting timely to Queen Elizabeth of England's passing on September 8th of 2022, when the Sun and Venus in its fall in Virgo squares her natal Venus in exaltation, the ruler of her Sun in Taurus. And I would guess that whilst Venus is now in the underworld, her mourning and memorial honoring will continue for the remainder of the year. And this is just one connection of so many. Virgo at 25 degrees for Venus currently. A flag at half-mast in front of a public building. The Sabian symbol keynote is the social acknowledgement of a job well done and a destiny fulfilled. As an individual who has accepted any significantly met public responsibilities, reaches the end of his service to his community or to mankind as a whole. He gains social immortality, at least to some extent. In death, he becomes identified with the archetype that ensouled his public office. He becomes a culture hero, enshrined in the official memory of his race. He has found his place in history. The symbol implies the ability to carry any task to its ultimate fulfillment, provided this task is carried out with reference to the need of a collectivity, small or large as it may be. In this final phase, personal failings may be forgotten, but achievements remain. They are given public recognition. I would advise to use this time to reflect on that which presses you, As the eclipse season is almost upon us, and the ruler of the North Node is invisible, and the ruler of the South Node in retrograde as of end of October. And change is here. Trust the flow of God's divine leadership in your life. Spend time in prayer, and do not force anything or chase anything. Staying in gratitude elevates our frequency. You can also check out my Mars retrograde in Gemini video. I'll put the link in the description box below. May the sun shine bright on you this day. May there be blessings coming your way. Until next time, bye-bye.